Guys, what's up? I'm Andre, and today we're going to talk about design sprints. What are design sprints? How we can use them to benefit us while we're designing, our team, how they can benefit our business, and how they can benefit our users, last but not least. So let's get right into it. All right, so what is a design sprint? Well, basically, a design sprint is a schedule you're going to have for designing anything from a product, really redesigning a product, designing a landing page, or designing features. You're going to have a schedule, and that schedule is going to have a few tasks in it. So that is a design sprint. You're able to achieve things much more faster, much more efficiently, and a lot of people will be happy with your results. So the benefits of a design sprint, one that I really enjoy is getting your whole team involved. I really like this one because a lot of the times designers are designing by themselves and the team is not involved in the design process. So working with the design sprint allows the team to also be involved because they share their opinions throughout the journey. And in the end, it builds a product that is much more fun to use, and also the team is also happy because they've grown on them. The whole product has grown on them while they were designing, and it builds a cohesive team in a way. That's what I've seen from designing this. Also eliminates frustration from the team. So a lot of the times, as you might already know, there are a lot of times that people in teams have a lot of ideas and they don't know what to do with those ideas because everyone has their own idea and they want to test them. They don't test them out. They don't test, okay, let's see if my idea is good. And usually there's a decision maker, and what they do is they go with what idea that they think it's best, or maybe they vote on ideas, and a lot of people get left behind, and this creates frustration inside the team, what I've seen in my experience. So the design sprint solves that because every idea is taken and then those ideas are validated with users. So you go back and say, okay, this is why your idea hasn't been working so well because of this or because of that. So it eliminates this frustration from inside the team. Then you're able to design at amazing speed, and I really like this one because what happens is that now that you have a schedule, which each iteration of the design sprint, you're able to also iterate your workflow. So imagine that you're going to go through designing a landing page, you have certain tasks that you have to do, and after each sprint, after maybe you've designed the landing page, but maybe then you design more features, you know what to tweak inside your design sprint in order to make things more fast and make things more efficient or whatever. So you would be able to design at amazing speeds. Trust me, you'll be able to put out products, entire products in 3 weeks, or redesigns in 2 weeks, or amazing feature with amazing efficiency very fast. Your business will be happy because you iterate faster. That means you're able to produce much faster, and because you're including the user inside your design workflow, it means that you're designing with the user in mind. So when you're pushing everything faster and you're also working with users and you're also pushing everything out there, you're also able to achieve things much more faster from a business perspective because you can test a lot more things than you would do if you didn't have a schedule and if you would not be working with a design sprint. Users will be happy, last but not least. Users would really be happy because you're including them, you're including your community, or you're including other users, and you're designing for them, not without them, not based on your ideas. You're testing everything while you're designing. So it would be very helpful for them as well. So these are the benefits of the design sprint. And next, we're actually going to go to the product design cycle. So in each design sprint, or whenever you're doing a design, there is a cycle inside this design that you should be following. And that cycle looks like this. How does the solution look like? So problem framing and user experience. So we need to understand what is the problem that we have, and then based on our understanding, based on our assumptions, how does that solution look like? And then this usually breeds out user experience, so like a user experience pattern. And yeah, that's basically like wireframes, like initial wireframes. Then you have validating the solution between us. So this is where we come up with the user interface and a prototype, and it's like we're going to be like, this is our solution based on the assumptions that we have about the user, whether it's a landing page, features, redesign, or an app, doesn't matter. Based on this, we will go to the user and we will validate that solution with him. So we will be asking them questions in order to see that our solution actually solves the needs that we've had about the user. And based on the feedback, we will iterate our solution. So the user might say, oh, I found this confusing, or I feel that this doesn't serve my need. If they say that, we can iterate our solution to better serve their needs. And at the end of this, what we have is a full flow of whatever we're designing, and whether it's an app or anything, and we can send that to the developer, and what they're implementing will be something that is tested by users, something that is not just our assumptions, something that has been tested by users. So at the end of the cycle, it's just going to be 3 weeks, and in 3 weeks or 2 weeks or 1 week, depending on what you're designing. And at the end of the cycle, everyone's going to be happy. Your team is going to be happy because everyone's been listened to, everyone's been given really good opinions about why their assumptions were wrong or why their assumptions were right. Everyone's been involved throughout the whole stage of the process. Users will also be happy because everything has been designed with them, so everything is functional and usable. So at the end of this week's, everyone is going to be happy. So that's the product design cycle. And even if you're not following a design sprint, even if you're doing your own design, you should always follow this product design cycle. So let's go a bit inside of these and let's go one by one. So in the first week, how does the solution look like? We have problem framing and user experience. So the first thing is a problem framing call. So this is a call that you have with your whole team, and you want to get everyone's ideas on board, because this is why you will be testing their assumptions later on with users. So that's why you want to get everyone's ideas. No matter how small the ideas, you have to ask everyone about everything. Then you have assumptions. You're going to create assumptions about what your team has given you, all their feedback. And while you're designing the wireframes, you want to include everyone's assumptions in there, because later on you're going to be testing those assumptions with the users. Then you're going to be iterating the wireframes with the team, just going back to the team and say, okay, this is my solution. Let's see if everyone's happy with this version. So probably this will be like a team call. And then in the second part, which depending on what you're doing, might be the second week or might be even the first week, depending on what you're designing, you're going to be designing the UI. First, you're going to be focusing on just the main screens. You don't want to be going very deep. You want to design the first, let's say, 4 screens, that the main ones that you want to give them a look and feel. And then you're going to go with them to your team and you're going to ask them, what do you guys think about this approach for the UI? And then obviously you're going to iterate that with them. And then when you get their okay on that, what you're going to do is you're going to create a whole prototype. So you're going to take the design style you've been using in designing the 4 main screens, and you're going to create the main flows, the golden flows. The main flows are usually from a new user perspective. When they go inside your app, what is that flow that the user has to go through in order to achieve their first action? So what would that flow be that you want them to go through? And also there's a returning user flow usually when you already have a power user, so it might look a bit different from the first onboarding flow. So those are the 2 flows, and you create a prototype based on those flows inside of Figma. And after that, based on the assumptions that you've gathered from your team, you're going to have product assumptions and user questions. So in each part of the flow, you want to be asking them a few questions like, tell me, what do you think about this? Does that make sense to you? So you want to put yourself in their perspective, in their shoes, and you want to understand if there's any confusions, if there is anything to change on all of that. So these are the product assumptions and user questions that usually list. And then you have conducting usability tests. So the usability tests are 3 sessions usually with 3 different people that would be from your target market. So that could also be power users depending on what you're designing for, or maybe there would be new users. So the usability tests are very important. And in this test, you're going to be asking them the questions that you have here from the assumptions. And after each one of these tests, you're going to be iterating your product. And at the end of the whole cycle, you're going to be having your whole prototype already iterated with the users, which is very, very important. And then updating your style guide and also updating your mobile. So depending on what you're doing, this should be between, I would say, 1 week and 3 weeks, just depending on what kind of product you're doing. And I can show you a quick schedule here about one of these. So this is a schedule for a sprint we've had with a client, and you could see very clearly here, this is a redesign. So you can see the schedule for each of the days. Day 1, we do the problem framing, user assumptions, we recruit users for testing things. Then we also do an initial research before in case of a redesign, which lasts to 1 or 2 days. Also, we design the wireframes. So you can see the whole schedule here. And I propose if you're doing something like a design sprint, you create your own schedule, and you see after each design sprint, you're going to iterate the schedule, and maybe you're going to say, oh yeah, on day 2, maybe we spent too much time designing the wireframes, maybe we just need 1 day for that, depending on what we're doing. So I advise you to create those notes and do these iterations throughout your assessment of the sprint. So I hope that helped a lot, and in case you're interested, this is part of the Web3 design course that we are creating. And in case you're interested, just subscribe or just follow me on Twitter. I'll be posting updates about the next design course I'll be planning to launch in the next month.